Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the TexAgs High School Football Show, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Academy has all your high school football road trip needs this season. Get the right gear for the long season with free curbside pickup today at Academy Sports and Outdoors. All right, everybody, the final week of the TexAgs High School Football Show, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, as Jason Howell and I will prepare for Jason 4 days, me 3 days in AT&T Stadium in Arlington for the state championships. And what a season it's been. It's one of the highlights of my year going to state championships, but it's also a good time to just kind of reflect on how fast this whole thing goes. And it feels like just yesterday we were getting ready for those 110-degree scrimmages and first week games. And, now we're fast forward here, and it's the culmination of the season. And it's one of the great spectacles, I think, in sports in general across the country. The 4 days at AT&T Stadium for the Texas High School Football Championships. If you haven't gone, it needs to be a bucket list item if you're a sports fan in this state or any other state listening to this. You get up early, you get to the stadium about 10:30 in the morning, and you'll stay until 9:30 or 10 at night and watch great football. And it's cool to see the pageantry of all the towns and just the belief that you're going to do the impossible or make lifelong memories and that kind of deal for each and every one of these small towns coming. And then for the big boys, it's more like hey, we've got to add to our dynasty. And there's some like big picture, we're the best team in the country kind of stuff potentially happening in those 6A ranks. So Jason, we're here, man. We're at the final week of this thing.
It's it's one of those bittersweet moments for me. It signifies the end of the football season and getting to see these guys with the pads on and as we move into signing day and camps and 7-on-7s and all that kind of stuff. But absolutely love it. Like you said, it really doesn't get much better because it is, it's the end of the road either way, and it's going to be a happy ending or a sad one. And the like you said, the pageantry and everything surrounding these games, it's incredible. Timpson canceled school on Wednesday so everybody could get
out. A lot of them are, a lot of those schools are.
Absolutely should, and they should. That's the thing. So,
all right, so we're going to pick all these games, all the 11-man games.
Do we want to recap a little bit of what we did last?
Yeah.
Okay.
We go real quickly though, because we're going to get through all these games.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I was at Anna and Decatur. So 38-27 win by the Anna Coyotes. And I'm just going to say it wasn't that close. Decatur added some 2 touchdowns inside the final minute. I was super impressed. I got to say it was the Andre Williams, 2026 quarterback at Anna. He 194 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and had another touchdown running. Dual threat guy, 6 foot, 5'11", 6 foot, 165, 170 pounds. He is as poised as they come, man. He is going to be fun to watch. Put him on your radar. I got a feeling this guy is going to be he's going to be someone to watch. He's got a lot of things. He can quickly get rid of the ball and I've been super impressed a few times I've seen him 7-on-7 this summer when he took Anna to the finals there, and again the other night against Decatur, a really strong Decatur team. So, and then on Saturday, I was out in Mesquite at watching Duncanville, North Crowley, and this is a game I thought had a chance to. I'll be honest, I didn't think North Crowley had much of a shot, but I thought they would come out and they'd punch Duncanville in the mouth. North Crowley is a very tough-minded team. They are a team that's very much on the come up. I was telling people they kind of remind me of South Oak Cliff about 5 years ago, before they had gotten over the hump. They had made some runs deep and things like that, but they play with that mentality. And once they get it, that's going to be a program that's going to be fun to watch. But they just didn't have the ability to put it up on offense, and they've got some playmakers in Cornelius Warren and Chris Jimerson in the 25 class that are going to be fun to watch. But Duncanville and Caden Durham's 5 touchdowns and 226 yards on 29 carries definitely carried the day. Duncanville won both lines of scrimmage, and North Crowley got a heavy dose of the run, and yeah, it was just too much.
Well, I got to see a guy that you have gotten very familiar with over the last year, and on Thursday night in Timpson's Terry Bussey, as
Mhm.
the Bears move on to the state finals with a 35-21 win over Ganado, a game in which they trailed 21-7, and then that is whenever Terry Bussey went into the phone booth and put on his Superman cape, and the Bears rattle off 28 in a row to win 35-21. Terry Bussey scores has a hand in all 5 touchdowns. I think he had
Yeah.
3 passing and 2 rushing, and it's just, I mean, they've got some good pieces around him, but they were without JJ Garner.
Mhm.
They've been without Vosky Howard for a long time, and everybody knows that on every snap, Terry Bussey's getting the ball on offense, and they have to stop him. And just over the course of the game, Ganado, as good as they played early, they just couldn't withstand the Terry Bussey hero ball that took
Mhm.
place, especially in the second half. And I thought, really, Jason, his most impressive play or his most impactful play was a third down pass breakup, which he just crushed a guy on a slant coming up from a safety position,
Mm.
and jarred the ball loose for a PBU, and really got the momentum of the game, because up to that point, Timpson had struggled stopping Ganado.
Yeah.
And that was a huge play, and I think determining the outcome, because it gave the Timpson defense a lot more belief.
Mhm.
And then when they got the ball on offense, Terry started to really find his rhythm in the second half, and it propelled them to a state finals appearance. And just everything that he'd been hyped up to be. I'd never seen him play before, and he lived up to the billing
He's
that he
different.
came with. Yeah, and then didn't have a game on Friday. On Saturday, went over to Pflugerville in a really blustery, heavy winds, consistent winds, but a slugfest and an all-time matchup with North Shore and Austin Westlake, two of the most prestigious programs in Texas high school football. It was 17-14 when Austin Westlake got the ball back inside their own 10-yard line with 8 seconds left
Mhm.
in the game, and on the last play, North Shore gets pressure and kind of bats the ball away from the quarterback in the backfield, and they catch it in the end zone for an interception for a pick six
Mm.
on the final play to push the final score to 23-14. Closer, obviously, much closer than that it indicated, but it did feel
Yeah.
like North Shore controlled the game.
Yeah.
They struggled to score points. The conditions were not great, but man, their defense, they gave up a touchdown on a short field after a very bad snap on a punt. They gave
Mhm.
Austin Westlake a short field, and then on the first play of the second half, Austin Westlake popped a long run for a touchdown, but that was it. I mean,
Yeah.
the North Shore defense just suffocated a very talented but young Austin Westlake offense. They're starting a sophomore at quarterback. They start 2 sophomores on the offensive line. They
Mhm.
started some young kids at receiver. So, you know, at the positions that really matter in high school football, the Shaps are young, and so they'll be right back, making some noise in the state playoffs for the next
As
couple of
if there
years for
was a
coach.
doubt.
Right, for Coach Salazar. But North Shore just kind of wore them down, and
Yeah.
they force a rematch with Duncanville, which we'll talk here about. But I think the
Yeah.
most important thing there was that a lot of people were asking questions of North Shore whenever John Kay took the job at Rice as the linebacker coach, and they handed the reins to his longtime offensive coordinator Willie Gaston. And in year one, Coach Gaston kind of keeps the train moving from the east side of Houston to AT&T Stadium in a state finals appearance. But super impressed. 5-star cornerback Devin Sanchez had the play of the game. On a fourth down, Austin Westlake, it was probably about 3 minutes left. Austin Westlake on a
Yeah.
fourth and about 8 tries to go a quick back shoulder throw. He gets a hand in there to break it up and taps the ball to a teammate of his, or it ended up deflecting to a
Mhm.
teammate of his for a huge interception. And just with the game on the line and the season on the line, Westlake tested the 5-star, and he showed why he's one of the top cover men in the country, and just a sensational looking prospect, but also a really good player there,
Mm.
Devin Sanchez, in the class of 2025. All right, let's go through these games for this weekend the 11-man games. We're going to make picks, and I think what we should do is if we had one of these teams picked in the pre-playoff
Uh-huh.
predictions, I think we should probably stick to it unless you can give me a compelling case why you're going to flip off of one of them. So we'll
Oh,
start
yeah, absolutely.
on Wednesday night, 2A Division One, the Toller Rattlers. Really cool story out there west of Fort Worth, I believe, right, Jason? Out past
Yeah,
Toledo
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. Toller,
Some people are trying to throw him into the DFW. Well,
well,
it's crazy. All right. Yeah.
but they take on the Timpson Bears. So we both picked Timpson in the pre-playoff predictions, and I think I'm going to stick with the Bears here.
Well, I am definitely going to stick with Timpson. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not betting against Terry Bussey.
No, if there's a guy in the state of Texas, and let me tell you, I love Tyler Lane, linebacker, receiver, kicker. I think he does a little bit of everything. Just a really good football player for Timpson. Like you said, they're missing some pieces, but they still have some playmakers out there that can assist. And I'm going with Terry Bussey and Timpson.
All right, on Thursday morning at 11 a.m., it's 2A Division Two Albany against Mart. Jason, you had Mart in your pre-playoff predictions, and are you going to stick with the Panthers?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't bet against Mart. And yeah, they just consistently get it done. I want to say this is a rematch from last year, and I think Albany did win that game. So there's probably some hate in Mart's heart, and so I'm going with the hate. Give me
Yeah,
Mart.
I actually think this is going to be a really good game. I was looking at
Yeah.
some of Albany's score lines this year, and like they really impressive resume. I'm going to go with Mart too because I think I'm going to lean toward I think they've got a little bit better athlete.
Yeah.
But either one, I mean, if you would tell me that Albany's going to win by 10 points, I wouldn't fight you on that either. I think this is a really
Hmm.
close one. All right, the second game on Thursday at 3 p.m. 3A Division One. Malakoff with a little bit of not a surprise run. They've been a great program, but Malakoff comes out of Region Two there in the Dallas area, and they'll take on back-to-back state champion Franklin. Franklin is making their fourth state championship game appearance in a row. Just a remarkable run. Mark Fannin, since he's taken over at Franklin, I believe he's 59-4,
Yeah.
56-4, or something like that in 60 games. Just a remarkable run there for the Lions. And neither one of us had these teams picked before the playoffs started. I had Columbus. You had Columbus.
Hmm.
There was a reason for that. Columbus had been sensationally good. But listen, I've gotten to the point now. I got a free pick here, and I'm going Franklin. I'm not betting against Coach Fannin.
Well, I did put Malakoff into the semis coming in, and when um, Columbus fell, and actually I had Malakoff going to the finals in my picks, and when Columbus Columbus fell, I did pick Malakoff at least on my paper as I was going through the bracket. I picked Malakoff, so I hate to pick against Franklin because, like you said, they have a proven history, but Malakoff has been there before. They have been a thorn in Grandview's side for years, and have been a strong contender on the 3A level for a while now. So I'm gonna pick Malakoff. They have a championship pedigree, and but I think this is going to be a fun game. I really do.
All right, 7 p.m., 3A Division Two, Gunter against Tidehaven. I love the Tidehaven story down there on the coast. We actually saw them at State 7-on-7 last year. Where
Mhm.
I was like, man, this is a small school with some good-looking athletes. Their running back, Joseph Dodds, committed
Mhm.
to Baylor,
To
has been
Baylor. Mhm.
sensational in this playoff run. Um, that said, I mean, Gunter is a wagon. They're a machine. I like Colin Peacock a whole lot on the back end of their defense, and is just an
Mhm.
overall playmaker for the Tigers. Um, really interesting offensive philosophy that we enjoy. Why that puts up a ton of points, and I'm going to pick Gunner.
I'm right there with you. Like you said, yeah, they're consistently there. And like a lot of these teams that have been there before, they don't panic when things don't necessarily go their way, and tend to find a way to get it done. And I think that's going to be Gunner this weekend.
All right, turning the page to Friday, 11 a.m. game 4A Division One. The Anna Coyotes, who Jason saw last week, against the Chapel Hill Bulldogs. A little bit of surprise that the folks from right there around Tyler are
Yeah.
heading to AT&T Stadium. But man, when you look at their roster, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody because
Oh,
with the skill talent that they've got and the overall team speed, uh,
hey, they
they
got
came
some
out of
big
it.
boys too.
Yeah.
They got a few big boys up front that on offense and defense that can get it done too.
Well, this is one of the more compelling games because I don't know enough about either team to feel great
Hmm.
about a pick. I'm going to take Chapel Hill because I think Demetrius Brisbane will be the best player on the field.
He might be, and they've got a couple of them up there
Mhm.
at Chapel Hill. But I picked Anna to start off. They have been a team. They really caught my attention last fall when they made a deep run in the playoffs. I think they knocked off Salina, um, and then they went to the state 7-on-7 finals. And I know that's not the real deal. But it does show some a mentality of a program, and I got to see Keandre Williams, and he has been super impressive every time I've seen him. I love his poise. I think he's going to step up on the big stage, and they have some playmakers that can get the job done. Give me Anna.
All right, 4A Division Two, and now this is where I do have a correct pick still alive, and you don't. So you
Oh,
smartly picked Carthage, which I think a lot of people did. No, excuse me. Yeah, you smartly picked Carthage in this division. Uh, they were knocked off in the last round by just a knockdown, drag out fight in East Texas by the Gilmer Buckeyes, who are
hmm.
going to represent East Texas here in 4A Division Two at 3 p.m. on Friday in the state championship game. And they're going to take on my pick from the get go, the Belleville Brahmas, who survived a scare from Wimberley. They got another strip fumble return by DJ Sanders, who is just
Mm.
he is playing outside of his mind right now. You just don't see defensive tackles impact games the way that he has all year, but specifically during this playoff run. I'm sticking with Belleville. Obviously, I'm gonna tell you this: Gilmer can score in bunches.
Hmm.
Uh, Caden Tennyson has been great for them in the playoffs. Belleville just outside of that Wimberley game, Belleville does not give up points.
Hmm.
So and Gilmer does give up a bunch of points. When you look at their schedule, I think they've given up 34 or 5 times this year, Jason.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you go look at Belleville's scoring, they've got three running backs led by Dede Murray and Josh Rannicky, but three running backs that have gone over 1,400 yards on the season.
Yeah.
Give me Belleville. I've the pasture of pain. I've rolled with them all year, and I've got no reason to come off of it. I think DJ Sanders in that running game gets it done for Coach Grady Rowe and the Brahmas.
Well, Belleville being, I guess, I don't know, a little one-dimensional with a heavy ground attack, but give me Belleville. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I just you picked them. I thought whoever was coming out of that side, well, was going to have a tough time with Carthage, and give Gilmer credit, but give me Belleville.
You have not seen DJ Sanders play, have
I
you?
have not, and I'm super excited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's again just perhaps the best tape of any player still playing in the state finals, and that's saying something whenever we get to these bottom game
Oh,
brackets. All right, 7 p.m. on Friday night, 5A Division One, the Aledo Bearcats against the Smithson Valley Rangers. What a year for Coach Larry Hill and the Rangers there in the Hill Country. Your reward is playing, Titletown, Texas, in the finals, and uh, whatever doubt you may have had about Aledo and they
who had doubt?
and if you did, and maybe you thought Forney was going to hang around and be a close game because Forney's super
No.
talented and has a lot of Division One players, it didn't matter. Alino just keeps rolling, and I love Coach Hill. I've gotten to know him through going out there to Smithson Valley and covering some of those players. And Freddie Dubose has had a great year and a bounce back off of an injury. They got a young defensive end in Hudson Woods, who I think is going to be a good player.
Mhm.
But give me the Bearcats. I think Aledo, no matter who was going to be on the other side of the bracket from them, I think they were going to be the decided favorites, and I'm going to pick them.
Yeah, Aledo is one of those teams that, I've had a feeling, well, I've just considered them pretty much a slam dunk to get to this point in the season since, the beginning of the year, and that hasn't changed. Haas Haney, just
Baller. I love
yeah.
Hoss Haney.
He's when it comes to the all around package and the it factor in 5A, he's the one that's got it. Forney, very much like Longview, and fast defense, a little bit limited in the passing game with a strong running game, and Alito just seems like the most all around, you know, well rounded team, and it's hard to pick against them. Give me Alito.
Yep. On Saturday, the final day of the season in Texas high school football, we'll start with a rematch. And we'll have back-to-back rematches actually to start that Saturday. But at 11 a.m., 5A Division II, the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears against the Port Neches Groves Indians. And we both had these guys pegged in our pre-playoff predictions. Jason, you went with Sock. I went with P&G. And so I think that's what our predictions are going to be in this one.
Yeah, I saw South Oak Cliff early in the year, and just they seem to be a more efficient offense than what we've seen in the past. They I don't think they're as talented as they have been, but they know they can win. Like, they've been there, they've done it. These guys are seasoned, and they know what it takes to get over the hump in a tough game. Actually, I think they've had their easiest run through the playoffs so far, and I'm going to give the advantage to Sock, and I think you'll see a little bit more punch out of that offense than you have in years past.
Yeah, and I went with P&G to start the playoffs just because I love their roster. They're still really big up front. I think they're a little bit better team this year than they were last year,
Mm,
despite losing a quarterback. The kid that's playing quarterback now is a sophomore named Connor Bailey, who has really stepped up in the passing game. P&G is going to line up with 3 wide receivers that are going to be 6'2" or greater on the outside. They've got a massive offensive line. They've got a big bruising running back and Blair Chatnier. And then they've got Isaiah Wynn, who's been there for 3 years. And so it's just a pretty complete team. Again,
yeah.
when you look at overall college talent, you definitely lean Sock. And if you're going by just talent on this game, Sock's certainly the favorite. They were last year. And, they
Mhm.
think they graduated 11 kids that went on to play FBS football off that Sock team last year. So,
And here
uh,
they are.
they're right back here again. So, but you know what? People forget that P&G had the lead at
Yeah,
halftime against that
yeah.
Sock team. And so I think if I think this Sock team is not as talented, and I think P&G is a little bit more talented, that's kind of why I went P&G. But again, like Sock's playing for a three-peat, and they're going to have this is going to be South Dallas Saturday, so the
Oh,
crowd's going to be crazy. But P&G is going to travel. That 5A Division II
oh.
state final game is going to be very well attended at AT&T Stadium. But
Your
we're
P&G
on opposite.
doesn't travel. I mean, geez, they didn't. They had to put out an alert last week, didn't
Yeah. Well, and then, here's the second part of that rematch doubleheader at 3 p.m., 6A Division One. It's the same story. It's the same 2
they?
characters.
Yeah.
We'll see what the ending looks like. Duncanville against North Shore. Now, we both picked North Shore before the playoffs started. This is where I could see maybe somebody changing a pick because Duncanville has looked more dominant in the playoffs. Outside of the game against Cy Fair at NRG Stadium a few weeks ago, North Shore really hasn't put together a start to finish
Yeah.
um, game in the playoffs. They struggled in their first 2 rounds, kind of played with their food, were tied at halftime in the first 2 rounds and then pulled away late. They were down 13-0 a couple of weeks ago to Atascocita before they rattled off 31 in a row. So it's like the North Shore machine has kind of gone online and offline at times. And
Yeah.
look, you can't do that against a team as talented as Duncanville, who's been their machine's been online for most of the season outside of 1 week against DeSoto. So if you wanted to change picks, I could certainly see you doing that here. I'm going to ride with North Shore.
Mhm.
I'm being a Houston homer, I guess. But,
Right.
I do think that there is a little bit of not revenge factor for Caleb Bailey, but a chip on his shoulder. He had to miss last year's game due to
Mhm.
injury. When during this game as a freshman, when he played, he was the offensive MVP.
Mm.
And I do think there's a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I love the way North Shore flies to the football on defense, and this will be the best offense they play. The matchup on the outside between DK Moore and Devin Sanchez, that is the top 2 players in the state of Texas in the class of 2025. So, there's a lot. I mean, there's every year these 2 teams play, there's going to be future NFL matchups on the field. Uh, I'm gonna go with North Shore. I'm gonna go with my preseason pick or my
Well,
pre-playoff pick.
yeah, no, I had Duncanville getting here. I think we both picked this matchup. I did pick North Shore to start things off, and this was my second time seeing Duncanville this year. Like I said, North Crowley, um, they punched them in the mouth. They came out ready to go. I'm not gonna lie. North Crowley came out swinging, and it took a little bit for Duncanville to withstand that, and they were able to pull away. North Crowley didn't have the offense, but what North Crowley did do was they limited that passing game, and they got pressure on the quarterback, and they, it was up to Caden Durham to do some real heavy lifting throughout that first half for them to pull away. I don't know if he can do that against North Shore, and so I call me, someone who's just gonna be stubborn and stick to his pick, but I'm going North Shore.
Okay.
I think Caleb Bailey being back in the championship game. Um, this is a new coach. It's a chance to continue show the momentum hasn't stopped in the program, get things back on track. There's a lot that North Shore is going to be playing for, and I, I can't. I'm not going to pick against them. I know they've been up and down, but I think well rounded. And we've seen this before. These two are going to slug it out to the very end, and
Mhm.
it's going to come down to who makes the biggest play to close out the game.
All right, the final game of the Texas high school football season, the 6A Division II state championship at 7 p.m. on Saturday night. The DeSoto Eagles, the predominant favorite from start to finish in this division, against the Summer Creek Bulldogs, who are making the first state title appearance for anybody out of Humboldt ISD in their history,
Wow.
which is pretty incredible. And look, Jason, there may not have been a more impressive
Yeah.
semifinal performance than what Summer Creek did over Cibolo Steel. I thought they had a chance to win the game. I did not see them just running away
Yeah.
from the Knights there. But one thing about Summer Creek is their front seven on defense can flat out do it. And I'm not just talking about Xavier Atkins and Chad Woodfork. I mean,
Mm.
they've got real players along that defensive front. They got guys that can run at backer. And when you look at their team, they're physical. They're big on the offensive line. They want to run the ball with Lloyd Avant.
Mm.
I think their best chance to pull this upset would just turn this game against DeSoto into a rock fight. Can you make it a 17-13 kind of game, 14-10 late with a chance to win it? Because DeSoto, they've just been, it's incredible. Now, did it surprise you that South Lake Carroll pushed them the way they did?
A little bit. I had South Lake Carroll's been playing at a really high level. What they did to Byron Nelson the week before was incredibly impressive. That's a team they lost to and
Mhm.
lost district to. So yeah, it was pretty impressive. You knew they were playing on a different level, and Graham Knowles has been doing some big things out there. But I thought they would pull away and win. I thought it would be by a few scores, but I think that's probably what DeSoto needed.
Mhm.
It's been a while since they had been pushed, and when you're going into a state championship, you do want to have that. We've been through the fire a little bit, and that made them clinch up a little bit, get a little tight, and you know, figure out a way to win. And they did against a really good opponent. So Summer Creek has been coming on. I love, for all the reasons you said. I think they're gonna make DeSoto work. They're not a stranger to. I mean, they push North Shore as much as anybody,
Mhm.
and I think DeSoto though with DJ Bailey, man, that kid is as talented as they come on the high school level. He's a guy that's uh, he's going to be fun to watch. I think him and that DeSoto offense, and then you've got a swarming DeSoto defense that uh, they have both trenches, offense and defense, that are big, they're fast, they're aggressive. I could see. like I said, I think this one does turn into a slugfest, but I think DeSoto has the ability to make the more explosive plays and eventually outlast and get beyond that. So I'm pulling for DeSoto. Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, and I think two things here for DeSoto, the fact that they've been in this situation so many
Mhm.
times. They were there last year. It's just kind of an expectation of the program, and this is the first time Summer Creek's going. And so,
Mm.
what does that experience factor? How does that play into the outcome of the game? Does Summer Creek get into AT&T Stadium and just big eyed and looking around and saying how big this place is?
Yeah,
That'll be a huge battle for Coach Harrison. Off the field and in the locker room to just get his guys to just relax and play. And secondly, for Summer Creek to have a chance, I think they're going to have to get some plays in the passing game from Blake Thomas, their quarterback, who's
mm.
more of an athlete and is really kind of dynamic back there. And he does a great job in the quarterback run game. But you're going to have to make plays down the field and make big third down throws against the DeSoto defense to extend drives and kind of do what you wanted to on the ground. Now, again, the best case scenario is that they line up and run the ball with Lloyd Avant, and they're getting 4 or 5 yards a pop, and they're perfectly okay with doing that.
Yeah.
But I still
Mhm.
think DeSoto's going to score some points, and in order for Summer Creek to stay in the game, Blake Thomas is going to have to make some throws. That being said, pick DeSoto from the onset. I'm going to pick DeSoto again. Back-to-back state championships for Claude Mathis, one of your favorite guys.
Absolutely.
All right, man. That's our picks for the state championship football weekend. Jason, I'm about to book my hotel, and I'll see you in a few days up there.
Sounds good.
All right, for Jason Howell, I'm Ryan Broncher. Thanks for tuning in to the TexAgs High School Football Show.